Okay, so howdy doody everybody. Um, this is Ricky Soul's first attempt at doing a video on the mininova by Novation, and I gotta show you what happened here. The keys have broken, so I ordered some new ones. They don't come as single; they come as a set. So I ordered the middle part of the keys, which obviously I have replaced, and it seems to be working well so far. Anyways, bear with me because this is the first time I've done a video, and I hope this helps other mininova keyboard synthesizers players out there that need to find out how to replace a broken key or keys. Alright, be right back. And we're back. Okay, so as you can see, I forgot to replace or put back this felt strip, but this gives me the opportunity to open it up again and show everybody how you take the keys apart, how you open up the synthesizer and take the old broken keys off, like I said before, and replace them with new ones, which you can probably find. Well, I found mine on Full Compass, which was very cheap. I guess I'm not supposed to say prices or anything, but you should check them out online. Anyways, I'm gonna open up the mininova for you. That way you can see how. Let me just point out one thing. If you see, they have these little Allen wrench type screws there, but we're not going to mess with those, so you don't need an Allen wrench. I think the only time you open up those type of screws is when you have to get to the digital display to do repairs, or the knobs, or what's underneath the knobs and buttons. Okay, so I'm gonna get a screwdriver and be right back. So we're back, and I hope you can see the video as clear as possible. I had to disconnect my lamp, my desk lamp that I had. So here we go. All we need, or all you need, is a screwdriver. And if you have a little screwdriver, that will help too. It could be a Phillips, a little Phillips, a small Phillips, which I'm using for this video, and well, actually the large Phillips, and a small Phillips or a small flat screwdriver. Okay, so anyways, what I did is just, so you gotta watch out for that button in the back too, so as you not to break this little. Let's see if I can show you. not to put too much weight on this little button right here, this little switch actually. Okay, so I think it'd be easier just putting it to the side and then taking all the screws off from the back. Let me show you most of the screws. So we'll just take off screws from the back. See if I can adjust this. Okay. So, and then just have at it. You can start in the middle, you can start at the top where the keys are. I like to start right here at the bottom. So I'll just take off one here at the bottom. And make sure you place them in an area where you remember where you got them from. And then you see there's one over here too. Take that one off too. And then there's one over here. And it helps if you have a screwdriver that has some sort of magnet to it. Okay, now this screw is like a silver screw. The ones in the back, all of these in the back part of the keyboard are charcoal or black. So kind of keep them separated. Anyways, let me take off one here on the bottom here and one over here so that way you see the difference. This is right where the keys are. And this one is even smaller. So you have different sizes. I don't know if you can see that. These are the ones by the key, where the keys are. This one's a little bit bigger. This one goes on the back. You can take those off. And this one goes right, I guess almost the silver one goes right up here, close to where you're taking off the screws from the keys. So keep the back separated, keep the middle one separated, and keep the front ones, smaller ones, separated. And just keep on taking screws off on the back, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we got all the screws off from the back, from this close to the front, all the way to the front. So now carefully place it down on your desk or your bed, wherever you think it's a lot safer. And just kind of be careful, because this thing will open right up if you're not careful. So we'll place it down carefully without damaging too much. Okay, and so see if I can adjust the camera again. Sorry about that. That way you get to see the whole keyboard. Now that all the screws have been removed from the back, just kind of slide forward and away from the keys. And what I'll do is just what I like to do is just place it like this, but be careful it doesn't fall back. You can place something in the back so it doesn't fall back, and I think I'll use this box to hold it so it doesn't fall back completely, and rest it without damaging anything on the box. If you want to, you can pull out this ribbon right here if that makes it easier, so that way you don't have to worry about this being in the way or falling or whatever. Let me make sure here. Yeah. Just want to make sure it's not hitting anything that could be damaged. And also this little connection they have over here, so you can remove this ribbon and you can remove this connection, so that way you don't have to deal with this. Anyways, for time's sake, I'm gonna leave it as it is. I'm gonna leave the ribbon on, and I'm gonna leave these wires here connected. You can wiggle this off if you want, and it should come off without damaging the leads or the contacts. This one you can move side to side and pull it off, and later on, after you change the keys from the broken keys to the brand new keys, so excuse me, I'm trying to be as audible and as articulate as possible, but again, this is my first how-to video. So now let me see if I can get a close-up here. There are screws. Actually, let's see. Actually, like I said, I forgot to put the ribbon on. So there's like it's not a ribbon, it's like a felt kind of a protector. So what you do is get that felt from one end, and then it has like glue or epoxy or some type of gluey substance, and take it off of the back of the keys. That way it reveals all the screws that you have to take off on the back. Okay, so we'll put that felt strip aside, and then I got to show you these where exactly these other screws are. So I'm going to stop the video right now and get a close-up of the screws that you have to take off. Okay, so I'm back, and let me give you let me zoom out a little bit so you know exactly where I'm at. These are where the keys are. And this is where the felt was, that felt strip that I just took off. And these are the screws that you have to take off in the back of these keys. Okay, so one by one you can start anywhere. I like to start from the right to the left. I don't know why, but take that one off. Actually, I'll just loosen them. And then put these aside where you're not going to mix them up with the other screws. Okay, so we just keep on unscrewing all these little screws behind the keys. And you know what? I'm going to keep doing that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back and I've taken off all the screws that are behind the keys, the black and white keys, as you can see. And what we'll do next is take out the hold key board, as I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but I guess it would it would have to be keyboard. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it anyways. Okay, I'm just going to lightly rest it on the PCB boards, or whatever they're called. And as you can notice on the bottom, there's little screws on the bottom. These have to come out too. All these little screws on the bottom of the keyboard have to come out. Excuse if this video is kind of blurry, but this is my first attempt, as I said before, in doing a how-to video. Okay, so anyways, be right back. I'm gonna replace my camera where you can see, actually it's my phone camera, where you can see me taking off these screws. Okay, so like I said, on the bottom of the keyboard are little screws that we have to take out. So I don't know if you can see, but it shows like little pictures of screws right there, right here, all along the board. I guess it would be the circuit board. So just start taking off screws. I'll start here in the middle, but I'm going to use the smaller screwdriver because these screws are smaller. So you just take off these smaller screws and try to, well, I just dropped mine, try to place them somewhere where they don't get mixed up with the other screws. Right now I'm just throwing them in the synthesizer shell, and just keep on doing it till all these little screws are off. going to continue taking them off, and I'll be right back. So now I've taken off all the screws, as you can probably see them right here, and I left them there so that way I know where to which ones are which screws go back to what place on the PCB board or circuit board. So then you turn this around, and now you take off, you kind of jiggle the part that's in question or the part that's broken. You kind of have to mess with it a little bit, and it came out. If you just jiggle it a little bit. Okay. This is the part that I had taken out previously. You can keep the black keys on there if you want, or you can take out both black and white and then replace them with the brand new white keys or the black keys, depending on which key broke or keys broke. Now you try to put them back the way they were before without damaging the board underneath the keys. As you can probably see, it's got a lot of places that you can reinstall your keys. A lot of these, I don't know what you would call them, but and this is the bottom. This is how the bottom looks like. That has to go right on top and right secured. Make sure everything is aligned. And gently push it back in. So it's not so easy to put back, but you have to have some patience. Kind of, if you can see these right here, you kind of have to manipulate them into these, inside these holes right here on the bottom of the keys. I don't know if you can see them, but I hope you can. So they have to align, and also these little tic-tac toe kind of connections have to align with these gray connectors or contacts. So just try to do your best, and try to align it from the bottom, on the bottom first, and then once you think you've got it aligned, go ahead and push the back a little bit so it snaps in. Like I said, when you're taking them out, you can leave the black keys on there and just pry apart the white keys. I don't know if you can see, but on the bottom here, it has like little grooves here that you can use a small screwdriver and pry the white keys off of the black. That would make it easier. But it takes a while. It takes a little patience. So, anyways, once you have it snapped back in, snap it in from the back. See if I can show you on the camera. Make sure the keys are aligned underneath. And then you start the process of putting these tiny screws back on. When you're putting back the screws, these little tiny silver screws, there's already like pictures of screws on the back of the circuit board. I'm just gonna call it. I'm not sure what it is. And just put them back the way you took them off. And I'm gonna stop the video for a little bit and put back all the screws with this little tiny Phillips or flathead screwdriver. Either one will work. Let me do one for you. Try to get it in there as straight as possible. I have a tendency of over tightening things, so be careful not to over tighten things, because you can strip either the screw or the hole that the screw is going in, or the threading. So we'll put on this second one here. I'm starting at the middle. Let's see if I can readjust this. And yeah, like I said, try to have a magnetized screwdriver, and just keep putting all the screws back on the same way you took them off, and I'll be right back. So anyways, I tightened up all the screws except one, which apparently it magically disappeared. It happens sometimes. It's this one right here. It's missing magically. It's amazing. But anyways, all the screws should be back on, tightened. They got little, let's see if camera will adjust, they got little screws that show you where they go. So don't over tighten them, but tighten them just enough so they won't fall out. Okay, well, I told you I wasn't going to do it, but I did it. I took the ribbon out, so that way all you have to do is kind of wiggle the ribbon, and out it comes. And it'll make it a lot easier for you to handle the circuit board. And so anyways, I think they're pretty tightened. The one that I'm missing, that as long as you have both ends tightened and the middle tightened, I'm hoping that one won't make a big difference, but it probably will. Wouldn't you know it? Never freaking fails. Anyways, and I looked everywhere under the shell of the synthesizer, inside the synthesizer shell. I looked on the floor, and of course, the screw magically disappeared. Anyways, like I said, this is my first video, so try not to ask too many questions because I'm not a technician per se, but I do my own repairs because I don't have like $150, $250, sorry, for a repair tech. But this is pretty simple. You don't really need to know a lot about reinstalling keys on a mininova by Novation synthesizer. Okay. So, anyways, what I want to show you is, because I took out the ribbon, I want to show you how to put that back in. And there's like a little part where this blue snugs in, and you have to align it, and then kind of don't push it too hard. Just push it enough where it'll go in the slot. Actually, let me see if I can get the camera up a little bit closer so you can see. Be right back. So I hope you can see this, because apparently my lens on my camera doesn't zoom in. It used to. I don't know what happened now. So anyways, I'll try to fix this in the edit. So the blue goes right back in this little slot behind this circuit board. As long as you got it aligned, try to push it in without bending it. Sorry if my fingers are in the way, but it's the only way I can push this back in. Okay, you feel it when it pushes in and it's snug. It should just slide in there. And try, like I said, try not to force it, because it'll bend. And probably won't do much to it, but you don't want to take any unnecessary chances. So I think that slid in fairly well. We'll find out when we put it all back together. Okay, now what we're gonna do is kind of, let's see here. See if I can adjust the camera here a little. Is try to align these holes right here with a couple of these protruding plastic, like little guides, I guess you would call them, and place them in here. So when you're pretty sure you think you've aligned the holes with those protruding plastic guides, it should stay, and you can wiggle it a little bit, jiggle it, and see if it moves. If it moves, then it's not aligned. If it doesn't move, then that means eureka, you got it in the right spots. I don't know why this seems a little crooked, but hopefully it won't. Hopefully it won't do much when I play it, because everything should have been tightened here. Let me take it out again and check right where. Yeah, and I think it's that little screw right there that's missing, of course. Okay, so try to place it back on with those so it doesn't move around. Okay, that appears to be crooked. So let me see why this isn't settling in. Actually, let me see if I can readjust the camera again. Sorry, folks. So once you think you've got it aligned and it won't wiggle and jiggle, feels like it's pretty much in place, next thing you got to do is put back the screws. Okay, so basically there's like places other than these other little holes here where you can screw back all the screws that you took off, and it should go in nice and easy if you aligned it just right. Okay, no need for too much over tightening, because you know what happens when you over tighten things. Okay, I'll just put the screws in by hand at first, so that way I know they're going in right. As long as you feel them going in smoothly and not forcefully, then you know you're doing the right thing there. then just take your old screwdriver and tighten them up with the Phillips. Careful not to over tighten, or not to leave it too loose either. Try to do it with my left hand. I'm a right-hander, but try to do it with my left hand so that way you can see. And that way I won't over tighten it. Just to make it one final last little check, just to make sure. So a little bit of tightening should do it. I don't know, maybe that one screw that I was missing, maybe it wasn't on it in the first place. Maybe it wasn't there in the first place, and that's what probably caused the key to break. I understand about wear and tear, but I only had this, I really haven't played it for that long, so it might be that, and I might have to ask Novation about that. Anyways, so now that you got all that tightened up, now what you do next is close. Well, let me get the box out of the way here. Okay. Now you simply lift the back, lower the front so it clears the keys, and then slide it back. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Yep. Alright, let me put the box back. Okay, so after you have all the screws in there, you just put the the felt strip back on top, and kind of gently add pressure to it. I don't know if that's going to hold because it probably needs a little more glue. I don't know what kind of glue they use. If anybody knows, maybe they can respond and let me know what kind of glue they use on the bottom of this felt strip. But what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of pressure to the top of the felt strip in hopes that it'll grasp and not fall off. Sure. Okay, the screws are back on, the felt lining is back on top of the screws, and now Take out the box one more time that was holding the top of the synthesizer, and now lowering the front and aligning it with the keys, you can slide it in, keeping the back part of the synthesizer up, and just slide it in. Make sure it's placed right, and it seems to be secure. Carefully lifting it up without the shell falling off, and then put the screws back on. You can do this on a soft bed or a chair with a cushion, or you can hold it up and just put the screws back on. Starting out with the dark screws, or charcoal screws. Put one on the tip of the screwdriver, and try to get it straight on there. I'll start out with a couple of them, then I'll stop this video, and you'll know how to screw these back in. Start out at the middle, so that way it kind of holds both sides in. Not too much pressure. Like I said, it kind of helps when you have a screwdriver that has a magnet, and it helps you hold the screws and aligns it where you can screw it in nice and straight. Okay, now I'm going to do a couple on the front. Those would be the silver ones. And a couple right underneath the keys, right in front. the smaller ones. Okay, so uh, I'm gonna stop the video and continue to screw on the rest of the screws. Pretty much self-explanatory. Like I said, just don't over tighten, because then you get one of these that are stripped and go round and round and round. Alright, be right back. Okay, so after everything has been tightened up and nothing seems to be loose or wiggling out of place, nothing else to do but try it out. Hook up the keyboard and see what happens. So the lights have been on. The display looks good. Everything seems to be functioning well. And now let's see how it sounds. So far, so good. Try a couple of other sounds. Okay, all right. Now for the final test, the vocoder.
Dial the boogie, dial the telephone, dial the boogie, dial the telephone.
And that seems to be working as well. All right. If you feel like subscribing to my channel, YouTube channel, it's Ricky Soul. And leave any comments, helpful, otherwise, it's all good. Because like I said before, I'm not a technician. I don't claim to be, but I've done a few repairs in my lifetime, as to say. Hope you like the video. One more time, subscribe if you like it, comment, and if you have any helpful tips, by all means, please comment. Have a good one. Have a good day. And it's going to be my birthday in a couple of days, so have one on me. Yeah. Or actually, send me a 12er and that'll be my birthday gift.